You may not remember the first time you learned to be alone. Not the dramatic kind of alone. Not abandonment or absence in any obvious sense. But the quieter kind. The kind where a child slowly without realizing it, you learned how to stay contained, how to read the room before speaking, how to notice shifts in tone, in silence, in the air itself. You learned when it was safer to withdraw than to ask. This is how a child disappears, not physically, but inwardly. Not because you were weak, but because you were human. Because children adapt, they regulate themselves when the environment cannot regulate them. Maybe emotions around you felt unpredictable, or too heavy, or simply unavailable. So your nervous system learned vigilance, a constant low-level scanning. This wasn't a flaw. It was intelligence. It was survival. Over time, this adaptation became a personality, a calm exterior, a thoughtful presence, someone who doesn't need much, someone who doesn't ask. And as you grew older, people may have praised this, your independence, your self-control, your ability to be alone. What saved you then now imprisons you quietly, because the nervous system that learned to survive without connection doesn't easily relearn how to rest inside it. In adulthood, this often looks like a life that functions, responsibilities met, conversations held, days filled, yet beneath that there is a sense of distance, not from people necessarily, but from being fully met by them. You can sit with others and still feel separate. You can be known for your thoughts, your reliability, your calm, yet feel unseen in the places that ache. This is not loneliness that announces itself. It doesn't cry out. It doesn't demand attention. It lives in the pauses, in the moments after conversations end, in the awareness that no one is really waiting to hear what you didn't say. Often this kind of loneliness deepens with age, not because something new went wrong, but because the distractions thin out, careers slow, roles shift, the noise of becoming fades, and what remains is the internal world you built long ago. For someone whose early life required emotional self-sufficiency, aging can feel like standing in a quieter room with the same old echoes. You may notice how much of your life has been spent managing yourself, regulating emotions internally, soothing without witnesses. This is a form of attachment shaped by absence, not abuse, by inconsistency, not cruelty. So you learn to attach to ideas, routines, inner worlds, to thinking deeply instead of reaching outward, to silence instead of risk. Again, not because you were broken, but because you were adapting. And now, later in life, the adaptation still runs. The body still holds the posture of self-containment. The nervous system still expects that connection will require effort or explanation or disappointment. So you stay measured, polite, and loneliness becomes something you carry with dignity. There is grief here, but it is not dramatic. It is the grief of recognizing how early you learned to stand alone, and how long you've been standing that way. Sometimes you wonder if it could have been different, if you could have wanted more, if you could have reached sooner. But that question softens when you understand this wasn't a choice, it was a response. Your system did what it needed to do. It protected you by narrowing your needs. The quiet loneliness you feel now is not evidence of failure. And there is something else here, too. A quiet meaning. Because the same mind that learned to survive in silence also learned depth, reflection, an ability to sit with complexity. You notice subtleties others miss. You feel things that don't have names. You understand restraint and patience and the long arc of time. This doesn't erase the loneliness, but it reframes it. It allows you to see it not as a personal defect, but as the long shadow of an intelligent adaptation. And maybe, for the first time, there is a small release in that understanding. Not a solution, not a fix, just the sense that nothing about you was accidental. Nothing was wasted. The loneliness is quiet because it grew alongside strength, and both deserve to be acknowledged.